Today we're going to focus on histograms. Now a histogram is basically a graph. We're going to be focusing on a bar graph that has no spaces between those bars. And what it's going to have is each bar is going to represent an equal interval. Now an interval refers to a section, a separate section. So that means a section could be from 0 to 5 or 10 to 20. It's not just one specific thing. It's not going to be the bar is going to represent kids who love the color blue or kids who love the color red. It's going to be multiple things. So it's going to be a section between a certain amount, maybe 0 to 1, 0 to 5, 0 to 10. Now, when you make a histogram, you're first going to choose the size of the interval. Now, the size of the interval needs to be consistent with the data. So what does that mean? That means if we're dealing with a certain number, if basically we're dealing with 100 kids, maybe the interval might be a little widespread, a little longer, maybe 0 to 10, maybe 10 to 20. Maybe I can do 0 to 20. But if I'm only dealing with 10 students, maybe my interval is going to be smaller. Maybe it's 0 to 2 or 3 to 5. It may be a smaller interval. After I choose the size of the interval, I'm going to determine the interval or the section to identify. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify which one is going to line up with the frequency. And so basically I'm going to be identifying the frequency by the bottom of my chart. So what is going to be horizontal at the bottom of my chart, that is actually my interval. Now the frequency, number 3, make a frequency, that's how often it occurs, that's going to be the vertical, that's going to be the side. So on this graph at the bottom here, the number of countries, that's my frequency. The number, how often it occurs. At the bottom, that's going to be my interval, how widespread, the separate sections. Then number 4, I'm going to graph the frequency table as a bar graph. And remember, no spaces are going to be between those bars. Okay, let's try this example together. Basically, we have a chart and a graph. And the chart identifies the top 10 nations of annual income per person. So number 1 is Luxembourg. Luxembourg is going to be making the most. Now, if we look at the chart, we have the frequency on the side, the number of countries. Ooh, we have one. The first one is about 76 countries. That's the frequency. But if I look at the interval, the 0.2, that is very low because remember, we're talking about income. Thousands of dollars. So $1 to $2,000 per person. So what's the richest country per person? Annual income would be the 42 to 44. So because Luxembourg is number 1, I need to know how to read my chart, and I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to see that 42 to 44 is the richest. That's going to be Luxembourg. Now, United States is second. 39 to 41. But the problem is there's nothing graphed there. So 39 to 41, we are going to ignore. We're going to go to 36 to 38. That is going to be the United States because that's the second richest interval. Then we move to San Marino, which should be 33 to 35. And then so on. So let's look at number 2. Okay, what interval is United States? We said that's 36 to 38. And then now we have what interval is Norway. Oh, wait. San Marino is number 3. So that's 33 to 35. So I'm not going to write that down for that one. Now Norway and Switzerland, looks like there's 2 countries for 30 to 32. Looks like Norway and Switzerland will be tied for $30 to $32,000 per person of annual income. So let's check to see if we were correct. Luxembourg hopefully is 42 to 44. Yes, we are correct. United States, we skipped 39 to 41. We went to 36 to 38. Yes. And then Norway, we're skipping 33 because that is San Marino. And Norway and Switzerland should be 30 to 32. Yes, we are correct. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense on how to read your graph. Okay, here's an example I want you to try on your own. We're using the same chart and graph, so you can go ahead. We kind of broke it down already. Let's see if you can answer some of these questions. What percent of the 192 nations earn less than 1/4 of what the Americans make? So we're going to look at this. Americans will be at the 36 to 38, and we want to think of what is 1/4 of the 36 to 38. Now 1/4, we have to remember, is 0.25. So I multiply 0.25 times 36. That's going to give me 9,000. Okay, that will probably be around the 6 to 8 section. So anything less than that, okay, it says any nations that earn less than 9,000. So that's going to be 0 to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8. And if we look at the 0 to 2, that's 76 countries. 3 to 5 is going to be a total of about 36 countries. And 6 to 8 is going to be 22 countries. So I add those together. I have 134. And so I just divide 134 over the total, and that's 192. And that's going to give me 0.7. And remember, if I want to turn that into a percentage, I move the decimal place 2 places over, and that's 70% of the nations are earning less than 1/4 of what the U.S. makes. So let me just go back and review. What percent of the 102 nations earn less than 1/4 of what Americans make? So we have to figure out first what Americans make, and that's 36 to 38. So about 36 is the lowest. 36 times 1/4, and that's going to give me 9,000. If I look, I'm not going to include the 9, but I am going to focus on less than 9,000. That's a total of 3 intervals, 0.2, 3.5, and 6.8. I add those totals up. That gives me a total amount of 134. And 134 over the total nations is going to yield 0.7. And then I move the decimal place 2 places over. Now, just as a reminder, make sure you know what the mean is, the median, and the mode, as well as the range. We're going to be using these terms consistently throughout this chapter. So let's take a look at the next question that focuses on these 4. If you didn't make index cards, or you didn't think about what the answer is, or the definition of the mean, the median, and the mode is, then you can go ahead and look back, look at this, kind of write these down, maybe make yourself some flashcards, and utilize these to your advantage. Okay, what is the mode or the modal interval? Okay, think about what the mode is. Remember, the mode is the one that occurs most frequently. So which bar graph, which part of the histogram occurs the most? That's going to be the 0.2, because we have 76 countries happening in that part of the histogram. So I believe the mode should be 76. And let's see, yes, 0 to 2, $2,000. And here we have another question. What is the median interval? And the median interval is basically, which is the median interval. Remember, the median is the average. So if I go ahead and 0 has 76, if I add them up and then I divide, so I know I have 100 and 92. Okay, don't forget for the median, you need to find the average. Now, what we need to do, remember it's 192 countries. We're going to divide that by 2, and I believe you get 96. Let me double check. Divide by 2, yes, 96. So if I look at the first 0 to 2, that's going to be 76 countries. 76 countries, and then we move to the second level, which is 36 countries. So we know that 96 would actually fall into that second set because we've already used up 76, and 96 would be 20 more. So that would be halfway through the 3 to 5 interval. Yes, so we are correct on that. Okay, let's go ahead and pause this. And I want you to go ahead and try practice number 1. And you're going to answer the 7 questions based on the histogram below. So go ahead, pause this. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. Number 1, what is the modal interval? Remember, what is the mode? Okay, which one occurred the most? And you can see I went ahead at the bottom, I made a little tally chart, and we can see that the section 8 to 9 had the most number of people, around 21 people. So we should have 8 to 9. Hours has the most. Now, what is the median interval? So it's the middle. So I have a total of 4 sections, so I can divide by 4, and that would give me 8.75, and that's going to be the 8 to 9 hour section, and that's how I got that. Okay, what's the range? Did you get 7 hours? Okay, we're taking the top, which is 11, minus the bottom, which is 4, and that gives me 7. Okay, Janelle slept 7.9 hours last night. What's the interval that she's in? 7.9 is not 8 yet, so it would have to still be in the 6 to 7 category because it's 6 up to 7 and then 7 up to 8. So it should be 6 to 7 because it's not 8 yet. How many people slept less than 8 hours? Less than 8 would be in the interval of 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. So that would be 2 plus 9, and that's 11. How many people were questioned? So I'm just adding up the total number of people, and that's 35. So that's 2 plus 9 plus 21 plus 3. And I can see that on the frequency. And what's the percent of people slept less than 8 hours? So we have 2, and then we have 9, so that's 11, and we have 11 people slept less than 8 hours, and we're going to put that over our total. So 11 over 35. So I'm going to divide. Remember, 11 is over 35, so 11 is heavier, it drops down. So 35 into 11. That's going to give me 0.69. Move the decimal place 2 places over. That's 69%. Okay, how did we do? Okay, I want you to go ahead and try and make a histogram using the following scores on a test with 100 possible points. So try and make the intervals probably around 10 since you have 100 total points. Okay, here are the answers. Okay, if I went ahead and made my intervals, I tallied them up, and then my frequency. So I'm making this chart, and then I can make the graph from the chart. So I create my frequency from my tallies. I first made the interval 60 to 90 because there's nothing lower than 69. Okay, so 60 to 69 is 1 because there's nothing lower than that. So I can start my interval from 60 to 69. I don't have to do 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 10 to 30 on my graph. I can start where I actually have information. Then my 70 to 79, if I count it up, I actually have 5 different numbers in that interval of 70 to 79. And so that will be my frequency on the vertical on the left side there. Okay, so hopefully this made sense, how to make a histogram and how to read one. If you have any questions, please let me know.